Luciana sat on a worn bench. Her eyes followed a man who looked out of place, even among the neighborhood's homeless. His clothes were torn. His beard was messy. But something about him felt different. Maybe it was the piercing blue of his eyes, or the quiet dignity he carried, despite his appearance. Without hesitation, the 2-year-old walked over. She held out half of her peanut butter sandwich. "You look hungry," she whispered. The man blinked surprised. He wasn't used to being acknowledged. "This is your lunch, isn't it?" he asked, his deep voice gentle. "It's just half," Luciana lied. Her empty stomach disagreed. In truth, it was all she had for the day. Since her grandmother's illness, food and hope had grown scarce. Reluctantly, the man accepted. "Why would you give your food to a stranger?" he asked. Luciana shrugged. "My grandmother says when you have little, sharing matters even more." She noticed his hands. Strange. They were well kept. Not like other men on the streets. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Luciana. Luciana Ribeiro. I live over there." She pointed to a crumbling housing project. The man took a slow bite. "This is the best sandwich I've ever had." Luciana smiled. "It's just peanut butter. It's all we had left this week." Suddenly, sirens echoed in the distance. The man stiffened. "I have to go," he said quickly, slipping the sandwich into his coat pocket. "Thank you, Luciana Ribeiro." 3 days later, Luciana returned from school and froze. In front of her building stood a sleek, silver Rolls-Royce. The luxury car looked absurd in her poor neighborhood, like a spaceship had landed in the wrong galaxy. A man in a tailored suit spoke with her neighbors. When he spotted Luciana, he smiled. "Are you Luciana Ribeiro?" he asked formally. She nodded, confused. "I'm Marcus Silva, attorney for Mr. Eduardo Vascanos, CEO of Vascanos Enterprises." The name meant nothing to her. "My client would like to meet you, and your guardian." Luciana hesitated. "I don't have parents. My grandmother's in the hospital." The lawyer faltered. "Then, is there another adult responsible for you?" "Mrs. Denise from 3B watches me sometimes." As they climbed the rickety stairs, Luciana's chest tightened. Something big was happening. "Why does Eduardo want to see me?" she asked. The lawyer only smiled. He said, "You gave him something very valuable." Luciana frowned. "I don't even know anyone named Eduardo." Inside Mrs. Denise's apartment, the lawyer handed her a phone. A voice she recognized instantly spoke. "Luciana, 3 days ago, you gave me half of your peanut butter sandwich." Her jaw dropped. The homeless man. Days later, a Rolls-Royce carried Luciana and Mrs. Denise to a massive gated estate. "Don't touch anything expensive," Mrs. Denise whispered nervously. Luciana looked around wide-eyed. "How am I supposed to know what's expensive? Everything here looks expensive." Inside, Eduardo Vascanos, no longer in rags, but in jeans and a simple shirt, greeted her warmly. "Luciana, thank you for coming. I wanted to meet you properly." Over lunch, Eduardo explained. He had grown up in poverty and once a year disguised himself to live among the forgotten. "This year," he said, "you were the only one who gave me something without expecting anything in return." Then came the offer. Eduardo would pay for her grandmother's care, enroll Luciana in the city's best school, and give them a safe place to live. Luciana narrowed her eyes. "Why? Why would you do all this?" Eduardo smiled softly. "Let's just say I'm investing in someone with character." Life changed overnight. Her grandmother's health improved. Her new home felt unreal. But at her new school, Luciana didn't fit in. "What charity program brought you here?" sneered a blonde classmate. Luciana shot back. "Your mother's program." Her only refuge was the library. And Miss Helena, the literature teacher. "I didn't fit in either," Helena confessed. "But books became my armor. Maybe they can be yours." Guided by Helena, Luciana excelled. She wrote, she studied, she watched, and she noticed cracks in Eduardo's empire. His eldest son, Ricardo, resented her. "She's just a slum girl," he spat. "Now we have to deal with Dad's pet project." But Luciana stayed quiet, and she learned. She studied finance in secret. She listened. She connected the dots until one rainy afternoon she overheard Ricardo whispering about offshore accounts, embezzlement, and hiding money from his own father. From that day forward, Luciana began to gather proof. Eduardo's 60th birthday arrived, a grand celebration. Ricardo, drunk and arrogant, cornered Luciana. "You're still just a sandwich girl," he sneered. "This world will never be yours." Luciana met his eyes, calm. "Interesting," she whispered, coming from someone who funnels millions into the Cayman Islands. His glass trembled. "What did you say?" "Project Cascada. Bank transfers. Emails. Recordings." Eduardo appeared just in time. "Is everything all right?" Luciana smiled. "Perfect. In fact, I think the three of us need to talk." In Eduardo's office, Luciana connected her tablet to the screen. For an hour, she laid everything bare. The fraud, the bribes, the betrayal. Ricardo exploded, lunged at her. But Eduardo stopped him. "You're finished," he said coldly. "You've lost everything." Ricardo raged. "I'm your heir." Eduardo shook his head. "Number, an heir isn't someone who inherits wealth. It's someone who inherits values. And you chose greed." He turned to Luciana. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Luciana's voice was steady. "I needed proof. And because I know what it means to lose family." That night, wild music echoed from the party below. Two people remained in Eduardo's office, a billionaire, and the girl who saved his life's work. "When we first met," Eduardo said softly, "I thought I was helping you, but you were the one who saved me." Years later, at 17, Luciana Ribeiro walked through the halls of the Volcanoes Foundation, no longer a hungry girl with a sandwich. She was now a leader, a voice for justice. Across the city, Ricardo sat alone in a small rented apartment, surrounded by unpaid bills. He had once mocked her as the sandwich girl, but now the empire was in her hands, not because of money, but because of dignity, empathy, and justice. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can rewrite the future of entire empires.